Greetings, parents. My name is Luis Rodriguez, and I'm the band director at McDougle Middle School. And I'm making this video to give you some information about the band program and also to answer some commonly asked questions. So let's start with the first. What is band? So, what is band? In short, band is an elective class offered at McDougle Middle School. And elective classes are those classes that students can choose from, such as art, theater, orchestra, choir, and so many others. Band is a year-long elective, which means that students will have this class from the beginning of the year until the end of the year. So let's talk about what kind of things will your kids learn in band class. So now let's talk about the kind of things that your child would learn in band class. Number one, probably the most important, is how to read musical notation. That is, notes that are placed on a musical staff, things like treble clef, bass clef, half notes, whole notes, quarter rest, the notes of the musical alphabet, C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C, those kinds of things. So how to read musical notation. Number two is they will learn how to play a band instrument. And there are specific instruments that they will start on, and I've made a separate video to explain those choices to the students and to you, so you can check out that video if you want to. And number three is how to perform on that instrument. So part of band is performing for you, for the parents, for your family members and members of the community. Now, we'll have to wait on that as soon as we're given an all clear by the district in order to be able to hold concerts again. So when we're given that green light, then we'll go back to hopefully the way it used to be and have concerts where we actually get to play what we've learned in class for you. So those are the three main things. Number one, learn how to read musical notation. Number two, how to play an instrument, one of the band instruments. And number three, how to perform that on that instrument for members of the public. So now let's move on to the next thing. So another question that always pops up is, does my child need an instrument in order to be in band? And the answer is yes. Every child who enrolls in band needs to have an instrument. In band, we use wind instrument and percussion instruments. Wind instruments are those instruments where you have to blow air into the instrument in order to produce sound. Percussion instruments are those instruments that you use either a mallet or a stick and you strike on in order to produce a sound. There are basically three ways that you can get an instrument. Number one is that you can purchase an instrument, and you can do that through any online or brick and mortar instrument retailer, places such as Music and Arts, Woodwind and Brasswind, Guitar Center, those kinds of places that offer instruments. You can buy one. You can also buy one from places like eBay and Craigslist. The only problem with that is that you're getting a used instrument, and unless you really know about how instruments work, you may or may not get a good instrument or a working one. If that's the case, if you want to purchase an instrument on one of those sites like eBay or Craigslist, I would suggest that you send me an email and send me a link to the instrument that you're thinking about purchasing, and then I can give you my opinion on whether it's a good instrument for you or for your child or not. And again, the bad thing with that is that you cannot try it out beforehand until you get the instrument, so it may or may not work. So always going to an official instrument seller is always better, because you get an instrument that, even if it's used, you know that you're getting an instrument that works. Okay, I would discourage you from buying an instrument on a website such as Amazon, especially a cheaper one. Unfortunately, with instruments, the rule is the more expensive the instrument is, the better quality it is. The cheaper an instrument is, the worse the quality is. And a lot of times, people who fix instruments in the area, companies that do that service, will not look at an instrument that is made like in overseas in Asia, because they're very poorly made, they're cheaply made, and a lot of times they don't have parts to replace what is broken and what is missing. So keep that in mind. It is an instrument, is an investment, and they can run pretty expensive. But if you end up buying something that's cheap, it may or may not work for you, and your child will be frustrated. So that's option number one, to purchase an instrument. Option number two is to rent an instrument. The thing with middle school kids is that sometimes they start on something and then they later figure out that they change their mind. They'd rather do something else. So by renting an instrument, that allows you to be able to make payments, monthly payments from month to month. And then if your child changes his or her mind and wants to do something else, you can just return the instrument and the process is stopped and you don't have to pay anymore. We do have a company called Music and Arts, as I mentioned before. That company provides a rent-to-own service for us. And we will have a meeting with them on March 16th at 7 p.m., a virtual Zoom meeting where you can come in and you can ask questions. They will explain the process of renting an instrument, how much it costs, how do you get the instrument, what comes with it, all this stuff. So they'll be here to answer any questions that you may have. So if you can come to the meeting on March 16th at 7 p.m., I will email the link later. And you can click on that and you can come find out what is the process of renting an instrument. Okay, so that's option number two. Option number one is buy an instrument or borrow an instrument. You can also borrow an instrument from somebody who has had one before. You can rent an instrument, option number two. And option number three is the school actually owns several instruments. And those instruments can be loaned to students who need those instruments. Typically, those instruments that the school owns are reserved for students and families who show a financial need. If you are in that category, you can reach out to me via email, and I can help you figure out how to get an instrument. So again, you can either buy or borrow an instrument, you can rent to own an instrument, or you can borrow one from the school if you fit the criteria of being a family who needs assistance in that field. Okay, so those are your three choices and all that. So if you want to find out more about the Rent to Own program, come to the meeting on March 16th at 7 p.m. and I will send that link out to you as soon as I have it. So that's a brief overview of the band program here at McDougle Middle School. If you have more specific questions, you can come to the meeting on March 16th at 7 p.m. And I can answer anything that you might have. If you want to come to find out more about the Rent to Own process, or if you want to ask me specific questions pertaining to your child and your situation, I would be more than happy to speak with you. So you can always reach me through my email at the school. That's lrodriguez@chccs.k12.nc.us. lrodriguez@chccs.k12.nc.us. You can send me an email and I'll be happy to answer whatever questions you have. I'm excited, and I hope that your child wants to be a part of the McDougle Middle School Band program. And I look forward to eventually meeting you and seeing you as we finish out this crazy year and get ready for next school year. So thank you so much. And again, my name is Luis Rodriguez, and I'm the band director at McDougle Middle School. Thank you so much for your time.